So earlier you mentioned art as a career.
Yeah.
What exactly would you be doing as a career in art?
Well, my choice right now is I want to be either a concept artist or an illustrator, hopefully for movie studios or game studios.
Okay. Which one do you think you could see yourself working for, movies or games?
I originally thought that I would want to do uh, a film studio more, um, but now I'm leaning more towards game studios.
Why is that?
The reason is being that, with a movie, you may be limited in some areas. And really, with concept art, you're not supposed to be limited. But um, I think games are far more creative these days.
You have a little bit more
Yeah,
room to wiggle
yeah,
with
there's
your creative ideas.
far more room. I can make some crazy drawing, uh, some weird creature or something, and it may turn out to be unfilmable.
Yeah.
Well,
So you enjoy drawing creatures like
yeah,
that?
creatures mostly.
What is there anything else besides that you just love to draw for no reason?
I enjoy a lot of just like people or faces, really, like portraits. Uh, they just have so much detail,
Yeah.
and uh, when you're able to easily replicate the detail, that's when it becomes something real.
Yeah.
You know, it's whenever you're able to make something a lot more interesting, people tend to look at it longer.
Yeah. So you feel like why draw something that looks real when you could take a picture of it?
Yeah.
You'd rather draw something that,
Yeah.
that isn't even there.
Yeah.
You used to work for a tattoo shop. You wanted to become a tattoo artist. How did your art style change after leaving the tattoo shop?
Well, first I'll talk about before.
Yeah.
And there was a solid, 2 years or so where I had really gotten into tattoo artwork. And it was cool and I enjoyed it a lot, the whole style of it really.
Mm-hmm. It's very catchy.
Yeah, it's catchy. Yeah, exactly.
Catches people's eye.
People look at it, it's really bright, but it was completely different from anything I had done before. I had to learn completely from scratch. And I was into it, and I thought that was what I wanted to do with my life. So I tried to get an apprenticeship for a little while, and it was something that I couldn't really do. I work and I was going to school, and I didn't have time for a third thing that was supposed to be full time.
Yeah.
So
you mentioned full time. How long were you there? Like how many hours a week?
90 at the
For an apprenticeship?
Yeah.
And an apprenticeship is unpaid, right?
Yeah.
Wow.
So, but that's how it is,
Yeah.
or at least at the shop I was at. So I kind of given up on it for a little bit in November of last year, 2014, and until I saw an ad for this place called Perception, Fine Body Art, and I figured if this was, my last chance, I better take it because these guys they're great artists.
Yeah.
And I figured that I wanted to learn from the best so I could be the best.
Mm-hmm.
And, again, to mention that this tattoo artwork style was vastly different from anything I'd been doing. So I got the apprenticeship and I worked there for not that long. And I started to realize that the artwork I had been doing, even without tattooing people yet, it was no longer for myself in a bad way. And
You felt like you were trying to please other people with your art. You weren't doing it.
yeah, like the artwork that I had made, or even the style that I had drawn for those 2 years, were completely nothing that was me.
Yeah.
It was all just looking at other people's stuff, and then trying to develop what I would do if I had done it.
Yeah.
And it wasn't anything that was amazing or, that would stand out to people. Like, it was good.
Yeah. From a technical standpoint, it did give you the abilities to put something like that on paper, but
Yeah,
you wanted it to be 100%
Yeah,
something
and it wasn't.
came from your brain.
Yeah, and it wasn't. Not saying that it wouldn't have been,
Yeah.
because I mean, if I had kept with it, I would have tried to have been the best damn tattoo artist I could have.
Yeah.
But it wasn't. It didn't make me happy. I really felt like it was me just trying to be into something that I could have been something better,
Yeah.
or me trying to be into something that was being forced.
Yeah.
You know.
So how would you say your style has developed since leaving the tattoo shop?
The way it's developed is I completely stopped doing tattoo art. It's more of like something I would do as a hobby.
Yeah.
You know, if a friend wanted it, or if I wanted another tattoo. But since it's developed, then I got into the idea of being a concept artist, which I'd always that was the type of art, seeing it and thinking I would never be able to do it.
Yeah. I completely agree with
It's
you.
immensely time consuming.
There's a lot to it. A lot that you don't even see.
Yeah. So since then, I had seen the program at UTD ATech, and I figured I could use that as a way to learn, or
Stepping stone.
to get my portfolio ready. So the way it's developed since then is I've tried to study a lot more of let's say like real form, like human form, and things that are real in the world.
Drawn from life.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And
not from other artists.
yeah, putting that towards my own art and concept development.
That's a good way of looking at it.
Because I mean, you can work from reference. I still do. It's not like it's something bad.
Yeah.
But it's when you know, take all these different things, and then your artwork takes on a life of its own and gets past those references and gets past the point of, you know, just something that you wanted to do. It starts to become bigger than you.
Yeah.
And bigger than you in the good sense.
Yeah.
You know, it's not, you know, you're just replicating something that, you know, has been done forever.
Yeah. So you mentioned earlier how you've always wanted to do concept art. You've been really fascinated by it.
Mm-hmm.
Are there any concept artists in particular that come to mind when you think of that, or any that influence you?
Yeah, there's a lot actually. Recently, the one artist I've been looking at is Peter Bowker. I'm sorry if I butcher his name, but he's.
I'm sure he'll never see that.
Yeah. He came up with. It's a series called Angelarium, and it's really crazy stuff. It's really about just concepts you would have never thought of.
Mm-hmm.
It's really biblical too, which I actually think is pretty cool. A few other artists I really like is Andy Park, who was
awesome.
He was the original, I think, lead artist on God of War, which are some of the original, you know, concept art pieces that I saw.
Mm-hmm.
Ryan Meandering is another one, which they both work on the team for Marvel, and they're both really great, really technically sound concept artists, which is a little weird.
So I know that recently you've received a drawing tablet. How do you like drawing digitally or painting digitally,
Mm-hmm.
applying art digitally, however you would refer to it?
Mm-hmm.
How do you feel about that compared to traditional medias? And which one do you prefer?
It's something I've thought about recently a lot, actually, and mainly just because my professor right now, who I have him for both drawing and painting, despises digital art. Like he, not digital art, but just sort of like what it's become.
Yeah.
Digital art, I've just recently been getting into it, and I'll go ahead and say I like traditional way more.
Yeah.
Just because if I were to do one sketch on paper and do one sketch in digital and they were the same, the sketch on paper would come out better. And the weird thing is that a lot of people that you talk to, a lot of young artists will say, now I'm trying to make the switch to digital, or I'm switching over to digital now. It should never be that.
Yeah.
I mean, why give up traditional art?